It wasn't until I signed my name on the surgery consent form that I realized my husband was with another woman and her child at the hospital. At that moment, I finally understood that 10 years of my devotion had only been a stepping stone for him to maintain his good guy image. At the company, he broke rules for the other woman, took my position, and left me with the reputation of being cold-blooded. At home, he hung up on me on the most dangerous night of my life. After that, I stopped crying, stopped making a scene. I personally watched as they climbed higher, overstepped boundaries, made mistakes, and lost control. Once I had all the evidence, I tore up the prenuptial agreement, reclaimed control of the company, made my cheating husband leave with nothing, and saw the woman who schemed against me end up in prison. On TV, my husband Evan was giving an interview. "I want to especially thank my wife, Lydia," he said to the camera with a smile. "Without her quiet support behind the scenes, the company wouldn't be where it is today." The host gushed. "What a supportive wife." I turned off the TV. Supportive? If he knew the startup capital came from the antiques my grandmother left me, if he knew the government grants were secured through my family connections, if he knew I personally called each of our first clients, would he still say that? But I never said a word. I thought love meant not keeping score. On Monday, Evan brought a stranger into my office. "Lydia, this is Maya, our new administrative assistant," he said gently. "She's a single mom with a 3-year-old. It's not easy, let's help her." Maya kept her head down, fingers twisting her sleeve. "Thank you, Lydia. I'll work hard." I nodded. "Welcome." But in my mind, administrative assistant? Reporting directly to the CEO? 3 days later, I passed Evan's office and froze. The small office next to the CEO suite, once empty, now had Maya's nameplate. That had been reserved for me whenever I came to the office. An admin assistant next to the CEO? The only one in the entire company. I asked Evan, and he said matter-of-factly, "She often needs to coordinate with me. It's more convenient to be close. You rarely come in anyway. Don't sweat the small stuff." Sweat the small stuff? My husband called me petty. On Friday, HR director came to me quietly. "Lydia, about the intern spot. Evan reassigned it to Maya's cousin. The one you recommended might not get in." I had recommended my mentor's son, a top business school graduate. Maya's cousin? Community college. Unrelated major, Evan said. The director lowered his voice. "We need to show empathy." That night, Evan came home early for once. I brought up the intern. He frowned. "Lydia, you're always so rational. Maya's pulling up her child alone. Having her cousin in the company helps her family a lot. Can't you show a little compassion?" I looked at him, and suddenly understood. My tolerance, my restraint, looked cold-blooded in his eyes. My resources, my efforts, were just stepping stones for him to appear kind. Late at night, I opened my laptop. The cold glow of the screen reflected on my face. I typed, Step 1, investigate Maya's full background. Step 2, map out the company's equity structure. Step 3, find the prenuptial agreement. Outside, the city lights burned bright. My marriage had turned its first red light, and I decided I would no longer pretend not to see. On Monday's weekly meeting, Evan dropped a bomb. "I've decided to give the company's premium talent apartment to Maya and her child," he said casually, as if commenting on the weather. I set my pen down. "That was reserved for the CTO we're hiring next year. It's in the contract. The CTO can stay in a hotel." Evan waved it off. "Maya's current place has a leaky roof. Her kid's sick. As a company, we need social responsibility." The senior executives exchanged glances. None spoke. "I object," I said clearly. "Benefits can't be distributed arbitrarily. If Maya needs help, she can get a housing stipend, but the apartment must follow the policy." Evan's face darkened. "I'm the CEO. This is my decision. There's no more discussion." The room fell into a chilling silence. For the first time, I had been publicly overruled by my husband at a company meeting. After the meeting, Maya waited outside. "Lydia, I'm sorry." Her eyes were red. "I didn't know Evan would actually do this. I just casually mentioned the leak. And he really cares about us." She emphasized us, mother and child. I looked at her. "I'll handle the apartment issue. You go back to work." "But Evan said," I said. "Go back to work." She bit her lip and turned. but her back was straight. That afternoon, the company chat exploded. Somebody leaked the news. Everyone was talking about the CEO bending the rules for a single mom. Evan's so thoughtful. Yeah, way better than some cold executives. I heard Lydia objected strongly. Not everyone's cut out to be a boss's wife. I looked at the screen and smiled. So that was his goal, to use my coldness to highlight his kindness. To use my rules to fuel his hero fantasy. Before leaving, the CFO came to me. Lydia. He hesitated. Evan wants all project funds pre-approved by Maya. She's just an admin. It breaks protocol. Approve it. I said calmly. What? Whatever Evan wants. Give it to him. I looked out the window. The more he overreaches, the deeper he digs himself in, the harder he will fall later. The CFO blinked, then understood, nodding firmly. That night, Evan came home late. There was a faint scent of perfume, not mine. Don't take today personally, he said, unusually conciliatory. I know you care about rules, but sometimes people can be too rigid. I looked at him. Evan, do you remember how we landed our first order? He paused. Of course, I drank for 3 days to close it. It was my dad's old friend. I said softly. I asked him 3 times before he agreed to try our product. Evan's expression changed. What are you trying to say now? Nothing. I turned and walked toward the bedroom. Just reminding you that every bit of kindness you hand out is a road I paved for you. The door closed. Outside, he stood in silence for a long time. Inside, I opened the safe and took out the prenuptial agreement that had been buried for years. Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. Maya stood at the door holding her child's hand, a fruit basket in the other. Sorry to bother you, Lydia, she said shyly with a smile. Evan has helped us so much. I wanted to come thank you both in person. The 3-year-old hid behind her, peeking curiously into my home. Evan greeted them warmly. Come in. Perfect timing, we're just about to have breakfast. My house, my kitchen, my husband, entertaining another woman and her child. At the table, Maya accidentally knocked over her glass of milk. I'm so sorry. She jumped up in a panic and bumped into the chair. The child burst into tears. Evan rushed over immediately. It's okay. It's okay. Uncle's got you. He picked the child up with practiced ease, soothing him, then turned to me. Lydia, grab a warm towel. In that moment, I felt like the nanny, and it got worse. The child cried. I want the Little Bear cookies from last time, the ones Uncle Evan bought. Maya hurried to cover his mouth. Don't say things like that. Too late. Evan had taken them out alone, bought snacks, played the role an uncle was supposed to play, and I knew nothing about it. That afternoon, Maya suddenly got a call from her property manager. What? A burst pipe at my place? Her voice trembled with tears. But my child still has a fever. Evan stood up immediately. I'll take you back to check. I pressed my hand on his arm. I'll have the driver take her. You still have clients this afternoon. He shook my hand off. Clients can reschedule. She's in this situation. And you can still be this calm? He stared at me, word by word. Lydia, you never need me. It makes me feel like a decoration. They left. I stood alone in the living room, looking at the house we had decorated together. Suddenly, every corner felt unfamiliar. Late at night, Evan came back, carrying exhaustion and an inexplicable irritation. Everything taken care of? I asked. Yeah. He collapsed onto the couch. Maya really has it hard, raising a kid alone when something happens. There's no one to help. I said nothing. You don't have anything to say? He looked at me. I do, I said calmly. Next Monday, I'm moving into the apartment near the company. He froze. Why? You need to be needed. I stood up. And I don't need you anymore. So I'm giving you space. I went into the bedroom and started packing. He stood outside the door for a long time. In the end, he didn't knock. It was the company's annual family day. I didn't want to go, but as the boss's wife, I had to show up. The venue was warm and lively. Kids ran around. Employees laughed and chatted. Evan was giving a speech on stage. Maya stood in the front row below, holding her child's hand. Everything looked perfectly harmonious. Until the game segment, the host called out, "Fathers, please come on stage and complete the obstacle course with your kids." Several dads laughed and went up. Suddenly, Maya's child broke free from her hand, ran toward the stage, and wrapped his arms around Evan's leg. His clear, childish voice echoed through the room, "Daddy, I want to play too." The room fell instantly silent. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me at once. Maya rushed onto the stage, flustered. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The child just says things randomly," but she didn't pull the child away. She let him cling to Evan's leg. Evan froze for a moment, then smiled. He bent down and picked the child up. "Okay, Uncle will take you to play." He didn't deny it. He didn't explain. In front of all the employees, he accepted the title by default. For the rest of the event, I became invisible. Employees whispered, their gazes shifting between me and Maya. "So that's how it is. No wonder Evan takes such good care of her." Poor Lydia, kept in the dark all this time. Holding my drink, I walked out onto the balcony. Maya followed me. "Lydia, I really don't know why he would call him that." Tears came instantly. "He's still little. He doesn't understand. Please don't blame Evan." I turned to look at her. "Done acting?" She stiffened. From the leaky pipes to today's daddy, every step was carefully calculated. I said, moving closer, "But do you know what mistake you made?" She stepped back instinctively. "What?" "You touched something you shouldn't have," I said softly. "My things." On the ride back, Evan tried to explain. "He's just a kid." He said it casually, "Don't overthink it." I stayed silent. With so many people there, I couldn't embarrass him in public. He grew more self-righteous by the second. "Lydia, can't you be more generous?" I finally looked at him. "Evan, do you remember our wedding vows?" He frowned. "Why bring that up now?" "In sickness and in health, in wealth and poverty." I repeated slowly, but it didn't say, "No matter if you let someone else's child call you dad in public." His face turned livid. "Do you have to be this sharp?" "Pull over," I said. The driver stopped at the curb. I opened the door. "I'll get back on my own. Go be with the people who need you." The car drove away. I stood by the roadside and took out my phone, and called my lawyer. At 3 in the morning, a sharp pain in my abdomen ripped me out of my sleep. Cold sweat soaked through my pajamas instantly. Curled up on the bed, my hands shaking, I grabbed my phone and called Evan. The phone rang 7 times before he picked up. "Hello," his voice was groggy, irritated at being woken. "Evan, my stomach hurts so bad, I could barely form a sentence. Can you take me to the hospital?" There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then I heard him lower his voice. "Lydia, it's the middle of the night. Are you doing this again because of Maya?" My vision darkened from the pain. "It really hurts. Last time at Family Day, you said you had a headache too. Turned out you just didn't want to see me." He sighed. "Stop making a fuss. We'll talk tomorrow." The call ended. The busy tone, like a dull knife, slowly cutting away the last trace of hope I had left. I trembled as I dialed 911. The ambulance arrived quickly. As the paramedics lifted me onto the stretcher, I was still bleeding. In the ER, the doctor's expression was grave. "Acute pelvic inflammatory disease. You need immediate surgery. Are your family members here?" "They're on the way." I lied. "Sign the consent form first." The doctor handed it over. "Surgery carries risks. We need a family member's signature." My hand shook so badly I couldn't write. The nurse looked at me with sympathy. "Your husband's number? We can call him for you." "No need." I took a deep breath and signed my name with force. "Lydia, this was my life. I was responsible for it." Before surgery, my phone buzzed. Weakly, I swiped to open it. It was Maya's social media post. A photo, Evan holding her child in the children's hospital waiting area. Caption, "Thank you for giving my kid a full day." Time, 2:40 a.m. When I called for help, he was with another woman's child at the hospital. As anesthesia was injected into my veins, I remained unusually lucid. I remembered so many things. In the early days of the business, he had a stomach bleed and was hospitalized. I stayed by his bedside for 3 days and nights. When competitors sabotaged him, I leveraged my network and turned everything around overnight. When he said, "Honey, what would I do without you?" the dependence in his eyes was real. When did it change? When I became strong? When I stopped needing him? When he started feeling like decoration in my presence? The surgery was successful. I woke up to daylight streaming into the room. The ward was empty. The The nurse came in to change my dressing. Your husband just called. He has an important meeting this morning. We'll come see you later. I smiled. He's not coming. The nurse hesitated. Can you contact this person for me? I handed over a business card. My lawyer. That afternoon, the lawyer arrived, carrying thick stacks of documents. The prenuptial agreement is valid. He adjusted his glasses. All company shares under Evan's name are actually held on trust. The real controlling shares belong to your family trust. If he commits adultery during the marriage, he leaves with nothing. I leaned back on the bed, pale, but my eyes shone with a sharp intensity. What about evidence? I asked. It's being collected, the lawyer said. Also, Maya's background check is complete. She's not a single mother, her ex-husband is alive. And this isn't the first time she's used these methods to get close to wealthy men. I flipped through the documents page by page. Every word felt like a knife. But this time, the handle was in my hand. Let's begin, I said. The day I was discharged, 5 cars from my family were waiting. Cousins, siblings, over a dozen Lin family members, filling the hospital entrance. The attending doctor was startled. This is my family, I said lightly from the wheelchair. Cousin Lin Chen knelt, holding my hand. Girl, you've been wronged. Just those words almost made me cry, but I held it back. Now was not the time for tears. At the family meeting, I stated clearly, the marriage must end. But not now. Uncles frowned. Why? A man like that, even a day more is disgusting. Because he's still CEO, I said, looking at them. If we rip it open now, stock prices will crash, employees panic, and competitors will take advantage. I want him, I said slowly, deliberately, to hand over the company with his own hands and then fall flat on his face. The room fell silent. A few seconds later, my eldest uncle nodded slowly, just like a Lin daughter. A week later, I recovered and returned to the company, still pale, needing support to walk. Evan looked at me with a complex expression. Why aren't you resting longer? I missed you, I said softly. He froze. For the first time in 3 years, I said I missed you. The company needs me too. I coughed lightly, but the doctor said I can't overwork. Evan, can Maya help you more? She's careful, and you'll be less stressed. His eyes lit up. You don't mind anymore? I figured it out, I said with a bitter smile. You were right. I was too stubborn. From now on, I'll learn to rely on you. He hugged me tightly. Lydia, I knew you'd understand. I leaned on his shoulder, looking out the window. The sky was a brilliant blue, perfect for the net. I personally transferred Maya to the business department. Administrative work is beneath her. I told Evan, let her try as a project assistant, maybe she's a hidden talent? Evan was moved. Maya was overjoyed. She probably thought I had finally given up. Meanwhile, my people silently infiltrated every key position in the company. The new audit and finance was my cousin. The new HR director was my college best friend. Evan's core assistant resigned due to illness, replaced by someone I had trained for 5 years. They sent me daily reports, which rules Evan broke for Maya, which projects Maya messed up, which issues appeared in the company accounts. 3 months. I endured 3 months, watching Maya turn projects into chaos, watching Evan scramble to clean up after her, watching mid-level management start collectively complaining. The timing was nearly perfect. That night, I opened the bottom drawer of the safe, pulled out a USB drive, plugged it into my computer. On screen, live surveillance footage. CEO's office. Evan and Maya. I watched for 10 seconds, then closed it. Texted my lawyer, evidence complete. Next step can begin. My phone lit up. Reply from lawyer, received. Also, note, MS. Maya is secretly contacting competitor companies, possible leakage of pricing information. I smiled. Perfect. 2 fish, jumping straight into the net. I suggested proactively, promote Maya to director. Evan, stressed over the quarterly report, looked up. What? She's been with you long enough. Time for a promotion. I poured him tea. The business department needs a deputy director, let her try. You'll have another person to rely on. Evan's eyes flickered. But those projects she handled before, who hasn't made mistakes? I said gently. You're the CEO. The people you choose, who would dare say a word? He squeezed my hand. Lydia, you've changed. I love you more now. I smiled. Tell a lie often enough, and you start believing part of it. Unfortunately, I didn't believe a single word. As soon as the appointment announcement went out, the entire company was in uproar. A front desk admin with zero experience, promoted straight to deputy director of business in 3 months? But no one dared to object publicly, because the last line of the announcement read, "Approved by the chairwoman." The chairwoman was me. Evan probably thought this was my way of making it up to him. He didn't know it was his last meal. On her first day as deputy director, Maya demanded a private office on the same floor as Evan. She told her new assistant, "It's more convenient for reporting." The assistant rolled her eyes when Maya wasn't looking, but complied. I deliberately went to see her new office. Spacious, bright, overlooking the river. "Do you like it?" I asked. Maya sat in the leather executive chair, already carrying herself like the owner. "Thank you, Lydia, for grooming me." "No need," I said as I turned to leave. "Do your job well. Don't let Evan down." The door closed. I heard her humming. After the promotion, Maya completely lost herself. She interfered in every project, barking orders at random. The contracts she approved were full of holes. Legal worked overtime to the point of collapse. She led her team on overseas inspections, burned through over $1 million in a week, and came back with nothing but tourist souvenirs. Performance? Zero. Complaints? Flooded HR's inbox. Evan started losing his temper constantly. "Does she even know how to do her job?" he complained to me. "That last contract almost cost the company $20 million. I patted his back lightly. "She's new. Be patient. Teach her more. I don't have time to clean up her mess every day." See? Even heroes get tired. The turning point came on a Friday. Without approval, Maya signed an overseas deal on her own. The counterparty was a notorious shell company, well-known scammers in the industry. By the time Risk Control caught it, $3 million in advance payment had already been wired. Evan smashed a cup in his office. "Tell her to get in here." Maya cried beautifully. "I just wanted to help you share the burden." "They said they knew you. So I thought, lots of people know me." Evan roared. $3 million. That's $3 million. I watched quietly from the side. I remembered years ago, when he was first scammed out of $50,000 during startup, he cried in my arms all night. Now, at $3 million, he only cared about the money, not about me. After that day, Evan's attitude toward Maya clearly changed. No more instant responses. No more patience or gentleness. The way he looked at her held more irritation, less pity. Maya noticed. She started getting sick, started feeling emotionally unwell, started sending Evan long emotional messages late at night. "I know I'm stupid. I can't do anything right. If it weren't for you, my life would be completely dark, Evan. I only have you." Cliché, but effective. Evan softened again. Men always enjoy being needed, even when the one who needs them is trouble. I watched it all silently, like watching a carefully scripted play, waiting only for the lead actor to step on stage. Surveillance records showed it happened at 10:17 p.m. Everyone had left the office. Only the CEO's office light was still on. When Maya knocked and went in, her eyes were swollen. She'd clearly been crying. I couldn't hear what she said, but I could see her suddenly drop to her knees and wrap her arms around Evan's legs. Evan tried to pull her up. She refused. Then she began unbuttoning her clothes. Evan's back was to the camera. I couldn't see his expression, but he didn't push her away. Instead, he reached out and turned off the light. The next day, Maya was radiant. There was a new necklace around her neck. She deliberately walked up to me. "Good morning, Lydia." "Morning." I smiled. "Beautiful necklace." Evan gave it to me. She touched the pendant. He said I've been working hard lately, as he should. I nodded. "You've given so much to the company, and to Evan." "What's a necklace?" "Really?" She froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to be so gracious. "Oh, by the way," I added, "at next month's board meeting, I plan to propose bringing you onto the board. You're an executive now, after all." Her eyes lit up. "Really?" "Of course," I said sincerely. "Evan needs you." She left in high spirits. My assistant whispered, "Sis, are you really letting her join the board?" "Yes." I flipped through the files calmly. The higher she climbs, the harder she falls. That afternoon, I casually mentioned to the CFO, Maya might be a board member soon. Clean up her reimbursement records, don't leave loose ends. The CFO understood immediately. An hour later, an encrypted email landed in my inbox. Attached were all of Maya's problematic records from her 3 months in office, fake invoices, personal expenses charged to the company, and even misappropriation of funds. The amounts weren't huge, hundreds of thousands, but enough to constitute embezzlement. Meanwhile, Evan started avoiding Maya. He probably realized that Knight had crossed a line. But how could Maya possibly let him go? She began acting like his girlfriend, bringing him breakfast every day, calling him darling at the office, even fixing his tie in front of employees. Evan's face grew darker by the day. Can you watch the impact? I heard him snap at her in the hallway. Do you have any idea how this looks? Impact? Maya laughed. The whole company knows about us. Evan, don't think you can sleep with me and then walk away. I'm pregnant. 4 words. Like thunder. Evan froze. In the distance, I curved my lips into a quiet smile. Finally, that night, Evan came to me. He dropped to his knees, sobbing. Lydia, I was wrong. I was confused for a moment. She seduced me. I stroked his hair, the way one pets a dog. Pregnant? I asked. He shot up. How did you know? There are no secrets in the company. I said gently. Stand up. Men make mistakes, it's inevitable. He looked at me in disbelief. You're not angry? Angry, of course. I sighed. But what can we do? The child is innocent. Lydia, he clutched my legs. Please, help me. I can't let her keep the baby, my reputation. The company image, fine. I said decisively. I'll handle it. He nearly jumped with joy. Really? How? Pay her off. Make her leave. I said, but it will take time. And you need to cooperate. Cooperate? Absolutely cooperate. He probably thought I was still that naive wife, cleaning up his mess. Too bad. This time, the mess was him. I met Maya at a private club. She wore a designer suit, carried a new Hermes bag, and already had the air of a boss's wife. Lydia, you wanted to see me? She asked, sitting down with her legs crossed. I slid a file across the table. What's this? She flipped through it casually, then her face slowly drained of color. The company's shareholding structure. You're the actual controller? Technically, my family trust. I sipped my tea. The shares under Evan's name are just held in trust. If he leaves me, he gets nothing. Maya's fingers trembled. Look at the second file, I said softly. The prenuptial agreement. The clauses were clear. The party at fault in the marriage leaves empty-handed. If infidelity leads to divorce, additional compensation for emotional distress and share devaluation is required. If Evan divorces now, I calculated for her. He not only gets nothing, he owes me 30 million. Clang. Maya's bag fell to the floor. Here's the third file. I pushed forward. Evidence of her embezzlement and her communications with competitor companies. Embezzlement. Corporate espionage, I said, looking her in the eye. Guess how many years in prison? Maya slumped in her chair, cold sweat streaming down her face. What do you want? Simple. I set down my teacup. First, terminate the child immediately. She looked up sharply. Impossible. That's mine and Evan's. Second, admit you seduced Evan. Sign a guarantee, and never interfere again. Third, I leaned forward. Return every penny, every item you got from Evan, or welcome to jail. Maya's face was deathly pale. After a long pause, she suddenly laughed, a savage, twisted laugh. Lydia, you think you've won? She pulled out her phone. I have backups of all my intimate photos with Evan, even in bed. Touch me, and I'll release everything. You and the company will fall together. I watched her perform silently. When she finished, I spoke. Go ahead, now, immediately. She froze. Need me to contact the media for you? I pulled out another phone. Financial section, social section, entertainment section, your choice. Maya's hands began to shake. You're not afraid? Afraid of what? I smiled. If the stock drops, I'll buy in. If Evan is ruined, I'll replace the CEO. But you too? I leaned close, speaking slowly, deliberately, a freeloading, cheating man, and a gold-digging woman who slept her way up. Tell me, who will public opinion side with? She completely broke down. What do you really want? I just told you 3 things. I stood. By noon tomorrow. I want results. Otherwise, I pointed to the evidence in her hand. Guess, extortion. How many years? I left, leaving her alone in the suite, hysterical. That night, Evan received Maya's breakup letter. She admitted everything was her scheme. The child fake. The affection a performance. She just wanted money. Evan called me, furious. Lydia, she lied to me. That bitch lied to me. I listened silently as he raged. When he had vented, I said softly, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Bring your seal and ID, we'll go handle the paperwork. What paperwork? Divorce. Silence on the other end. The divorce agreement was signed smoothly. Evan tried to resist. Lydia, for the sake of 10 years, 10 years? I interrupted. From the moment you let someone else's child call you dad. From the moment you stayed with another woman while I was in surgery. From the moment you slept with her, we had no marriage left. His face turned ashen. The lawyer handed over the pen. He signed with trembling hands. Stamped. In that moment, he aged 10 years. A week later, the police came, charging Maya with embezzlement and corporate espionage. They took her away. Before leaving, she tried to incriminate Evan for letting her misappropriate funds. Evan was called in to cooperate. The investigation concluded Evan had not acted directly, but was negligent in supervision and complicit, combined with proven adultery. All penalties in the prenuptial agreement were triggered. Empty-handed. Company shares reclaimed. Personal assets frozen. Overnight, he went from a celebrated CEO to a bankrupt, unemployed man. The board unanimously voted to remove all his positions. I, as chairwoman, temporarily assumed the CEO role. The day the news broke, the stock didn't fall, it surged 8%. Analysts commented, purged the poison. Ready for takeoff. Employees applauded collectively, should have happened long ago. No one cared where Evan went. In business, the defeated don't deserve a name. 3 months later, the dust settled. Maya was sentenced to 3 years for embezzlement and attempted extortion. Evan left the city, reportedly taking an ordinary job in a small southern town. My company, under my leadership, saw a 30% profit increase in the first quarter. At the celebratory banquet, all executives raised their glasses to me. Chairwoman Lin, lead us to greater glory. I smiled and lifted my glass. Lights dazzling, applause like thunder. But the clearest memory was that night, signing the consent form alone in the hospital, the pen scraping the paper, the sound, like a farewell. After the banquet, I stood alone on the top floor, looking down at the city's myriad lights. My phone lit up. A message from an unknown number. Lydia, I was wrong. I know it now. Can we meet? I looked for 3 seconds. Deleted. Blocked. The wind lifted my hair. My assistant approached. Chairwoman Lin, the New York roadshow schedule is set for next week. Good. I turned. Tell the team, we're conquering Wall Street this time. The elevator descended. In the mirrored walls, my reflection was sharp and resolute. Those sleepless nights of pain, those bitter pills swallowed alone, those chills of betrayal, all transformed into the light in my eyes. The path beneath my feet. The elevator doors opened. I walked out. My heels clicked against the marble floor. Clear, strong, as if to say, kindness is not a sin. Being mistaken for weakness, that is. And from now on, I have no weaknesses.